So today I want to talk about something quite near and dear to my heart, and that is saving money on taxes. So as a small business owner myself, I've been obsessed with this for most of my adult career. And today I want to share something with you from the IRS. It's actually a massive book that they put out every year on things that most Americans don't know about taxes, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. So this is the IRS data book, right? They put it out every year. You can go to the website to check it out yourself. We're not going to go through this whole thing, but I'm going to show you by the end of this video how much you may be overpaying on your taxes and a way that you can actually recover that amount. So we're going to go through this, and actually we're just going to skip down to page 11 because this is the number I want to show you here. So basically what we're looking at here is, I'm a big picture guy, so I'm not going to go through all of these little graphs here. The big picture is, and I'm going to blow this up for you so we can see it a lot better here. So in fiscal year 2023, the IRS collected nearly $4.7 trillion in gross taxes, with about $659 billion in refunds. Okay, so what that means is, whether you're an individual or business owner, in general, there were $659 billion in refunds. So that means in most cases, you overpaid. So this is how much folks are overpaying on their taxes. Now, there are some exceptions, right? Maybe some low income folks that get more from the government than they put in. However, for the most part, as a small business owner, which this is more targeted to in this particular video, lots of overpayments there, right? So you're getting these refunds. So how could we not get in that situation? This is what I've been working on for years in my own business to make sure that I'm not overpaying, right? So let's take another look at this. Let's look at it in a kind of a different view here, because as I mentioned, the total number is so that $4.7 trillion, right? So this is in thousands. So $4.7 trillion. This is how much the total gross is on the collections, and these are the refunds. So that $659 billion in refunds, and that's such a massive amount. So the first question I had when I saw this years ago is like, well, how much number one, did I overpay? And number two, if so, by how much? So years ago, before I did my own taxes, I had discussions with many accountants and CPAs asking, like, what are the best tax strategies to mitigate this? We talked about credits, we talked about deductions, we talked about various other things, but for the most part, and as a business owner yourself or a high net worth individual, you probably have the same experience where you go and do your taxes every year, but the relationship with your accountant is just, well, you drop off your stuff, your tax information, your books, and they basically say, okay, well, this is how much you owe, or this is how much you're going to get in a refund, right? And no offense to a lot of accountants, and because a lot of accountants and CPAs, I work with on a regular basis, but a lot of them, the reason why they don't really go into detail on actually saving you money is because they don't have the time, right? They're cranking out, hundreds of tax returns by that April 15th deadline. Sometimes you get an extension, but for the most part, they don't have the time, right? So if I'll just put this out here. If you find a good accountant or CPA, stick with them for a long time, a person that can actually give you money back or show you how to, reduce your taxes. And I believe that everyone should pay their fair share of taxes, but why pay more? Because when you do, effectively, this $659 billion, that's effectively a interest-free loan to the government, right? So let's just say your slither of that amount was, let's just say maybe as a small, medium-sized business, you overpaid $100,000 in taxes this past year. Well, that means you effectively gave $100,000 to the government. Now, that's if you overpaid, and that means you're not getting that money back, right? You basically gave that money away because there wasn't a tax strategy that you could use. Now, let's just say you would do a refund. Well, that means that money was tied up for that amount, so you couldn't use it for anything else, like high yield savings accounts or anything like that. So going with that example, well, the question is, and I think most businesses are like, well, if I'm overpaying, and it depends on your tax bracket, right? Some of you are on 20%, 30%, but with state and local taxes, you could be pushing 45, 50% in taxes every year, right? And imagine, finding out years later when you finally met that great accountant or CPA that is going to diligently help you out with proactive tax planning versus just a once in a year hello goodbye, and they can actually say, well, look, hey, Mark, you've been overpaying by $100,000 each year. And I literally had this conversation many years ago. I was very upset. And I'm like, so what are we gonna do? Like, well, first I was pissed because I was like, why did my accountant do that, right? Or maybe you're using some fancy tax software, or maybe even like TurboTax to do your taxes online. And most of these softwares are correct, just like most accountants are correct, right? But a lot of them are just putting numbers in boxes, right? And it'll find things like your QBI, it'll find things, qualified business income, it'll find basic deductions and credits and things like that. But it's not going to be proactive in planning, which is what you need, some more of these advanced tax strategies to be proactive in advance versus reactive, right? So when I had that conversation many years ago with my accountant, I finally found that really good one. And he said, well, Mark, there's actually a way we can get your money back. And I just perked up. You mean to tell me that I did my taxes wrong? Basically, I overpaid for these many years, and you're saying that I can get it back? Well, the answer is yes, and it's totally legal, and I'm actually going to show you on the IRS site how you can do that right now. So it's now April 23rd, 2024 here. So which is past the tax deadline unless you got an extension to October. So, but the good news is there is something called an amended return. And what that is, it's a way that you can actually basically refile your taxes and change your taxes in the past back to 3 years ago, right? So I'm going to share this here. It's called the 1040X, right? And this is the official government IRS site. You can Google it on irs.gov. So basically, we all file 1040s, but the 1040X is basically an amended return. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically, you can file an amended return through your tax. Most good tax softwares allow you to do this. If you don't really know what you're doing, I would recommend going to a good accountant or CPA. You can find a link in my bio if you are looking for one. But you can basically use this, and this will allow you to go 3 years in the past to change that. So that means, like, if you overpaid $100,000 and you're using some advanced tax strategies, maybe you can get your tax rate down to 20%, 10%, heck, 0%, depending on what strategy you're using. Maybe combinations of certain other credits, deductions, more advanced tax strategies. But like I said, there's a lot of significant overpayments going on, and this is something that I literally created a software platform to take care of. Because like I said, most good accountants, if you find a good one, and they're not going to be cheap. If you're paying like $300 a month for an accountant, more than likely, unless they're really nice guy or lady, they're not going to be doing anything advanced for that price range. So anyway, so I literally created a software platform for accountants. You can check out the link in the description on this video. If you're an accountant, you can use the software that my team and I built. But here's the thing. You go to a good accountant or CPA and they can go through these advanced tax strategies. It's going to probably take days or hours to go through different things. The platform that I built, you can literally do this in minutes. And right now it's only for accountants. We may be having an addition for individual small businesses. It's actually what I use to help me. So anyway, like I said, I want to make this video short and sweet so you know that, hey, if you felt like, or if you feel like you've overpaid your taxes, it's not too late. You can still go 3 years in the past to change those. And there are some situations, right? It gives you information on the 1040X on like the situations where you can and cannot go back. But like I said, it's worth a look. Have a conversation with your accountant or CPA. And like I said, this might save you quite a bit. If you have been overpaying by thousands, tens of thousands, what would you do with extra $50,000, extra $100,000, right? And this, high yield savings account is about 5.1% these days. Plenty of things you can do with that money, right? So the question is, how do you access it? And doing a minute return. But like I said, a minute return is more reactive. I like to be proactive. So again, you want to be proactive about your tax strategies, and that way you don't get yourself in a situation. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I thank you for watching it, and hopefully we'll see you on the next video.